Good morning, everyone. This is Matt Trait. I'm going to go over my Week 6 assignment for the differentiated instruction course, where we were tasked to design a compacted differentiated instruction lesson and go over our findings and how we tied this into our content area. For me, in physical education, I chose to use a basketball unit for my 10th grade physical education class. When I started to break down this assignment, I really wanted to design something that I'd be able to utilize in my class and that would also benefit my students. So first, let's look at the strategy in physical education. So curricular compacting is a valuable tool for students in physical education who need challenge. And how do we determine that challenge? There's many students who excel in multiple units or content areas, whether we're talking about basketball like this one, or soccer, or football. But you can't just make them miss a unit or have them sit out. An example that I used for this assignment was a varsity basketball player participating in a physical education basketball unit. Our goal in class is to make skills and activities and games fun for all levels of players. So for somebody that's never played basketball before to, somebody that may be a varsity athlete. Well, in order to do that, we really have to scaffold our skills and start small. So for somebody that is a varsity basketball player, slowing things down to that almost elementary level, they would not find as much enjoyment in. So we started to think, okay, well, what can we do to promote growth even with those high-flying students that might be varsity athletes? So as we dive deeper into this, let's take a look at why the need for differentiated instruction in our classroom. So for us in physical education, students that possess far more than entry-level skills and demonstrate mastery need differentiated instruction to remain engaged in the activity. We categorize these students as advanced, and one characteristics they would display would be a student that plays the sport competitively inside or out of school. So obviously, if they're in school, there's an easy way for us to track and find out, what level of play they are engaged in for this unit, being basketball. We have a couple students that were varsity athletes as freshmen. And then the second reason why would be challenge. These students that we deem are high flyers need higher complexity tasks to complete than maybe somebody who has never played basketball before a day in their life. Maybe they enjoy the game, but they've never played. Next, let's look at some of the pre-assessment strategies that we utilize. So how do we know that these students are high flyers or there may be a need for differentiated instruction? There's 3 pre-assessment procedures we utilize on a unit-by-unit basis to determine the need for compacting in physical education. So the first and foremost is conversation and student background. We know pretty early on what students play what sports here at Delcastle. Also, we have the students fill out a survey at the beginning of class, which highlights their likes, dislikes, some of their history with physical education activities, whether that's in the weight room or other sports they may play inside or outside of school, or that they just simply have a history of. The next would be observation. So at the beginning of each unit, we provide students with a time we deem guided discovery, where they're able to utilize equipment, work with peers, and simply just play. During this time, as instructors, we walk around and monitor and observe and assess to see what students possess, which entry-level skills, so we can deem where we can start instruction for that class. Each class is completely different. Each learner is completely different, which we know. So this strategy is something that we utilize very frequently in our units. And then lastly, for this basketball unit, we created a Nearpod formative assessment, which we utilized as an interactive piece to check for student readiness before beginning the basketball unit. All the pre-assessment strategies we talked about help us really peel back the layers and build the bridge of communication between teacher and student. Now we're going to take a quick look at our Nearpod interactive assessment. The first thing we hit them with is to keep the focus. Overall, we talk daily about becoming fit for life and what that looks like and how we are just looking to strive for that to get 1% better on a daily basis. Whether basketball is your favorite or least favorite activity doesn't really matter. We're focused on creating a positive learning environment and an enjoyable experience for all of our students involved. So as we roll through the interactive assessment real quick, we just have students rate their enjoyment of playing basketball or engaging in basketball activities. We have a quick matching, which gives the students background information on, terms that we will utilize during the basketball unit. For one of the high flyers, this is a quick, they'll roll through this. For somebody that has no experience playing basketball, this is a great way to give them a little bit of foundational knowledge of the game. We'll then ask for a personal touch, who is each person's favorite basketball player, or maybe a basketball player they have heard of, just to kind of get the wheels turning. Then as we roll through, we'll have a couple interactive videos, which are going to touch on some games that we're going to play around the world, knockout, and horse. Then we'll poll the students. Get a grasp on maybe what activity will they enjoy to do the most. After whether it's something that they've played before or after watching the interactive video and answering the questions. This helps us with the planning and prep stage of the basketball unit. We're then able to maybe go with the one that they enjoy the most right out of the chute to increase excitement and engagement. At the end, they'll take a quick little quiz just to check for understanding. Now that we've determined we're going to differentiate instruction, what is that going to look like and how are we going to do it? So for us in this unit, we're going to have students peer teach. So those students that were varsity basketball players, we gave them the foundation of skills that needed to be taught, entry-level skills to their fellow students. But what do they need to do to reach that level that we determine they need the differentiated instruction? So for us, students need to display a variety of skills and concepts needed to peer teach. So first thing we do is we look to make sure the student has the knowledge, the content knowledge, the knowledge of how to collaborate, and then spatial awareness and what that looks like, because for us, safety is first and foremost priority. And then secondary is some skills that those students that are going to peer teach the lesson need to possess. So they have to be effective communicators and show leadership ability. The nice thing for us with this peer teaching unit is we do feel like varsity athletes at Delcastle already possess a lot of these traits. Now let's look at some of the physical education standards that we need to hit on. So these are the Delaware High School physical education standards. Most of these we hit every day within lessons that we teach. But our peer teachers are going to look to demonstrate competency in motor skills and movement patterns, and then turn around and teach those motor skills and movement patterns to their classmates. Obviously, we're participating in physical education on a daily basis. And then on top of that, we want to make sure that all students, whether they are receiving the instruction or they are the peer teachers, that they exhibit responsible personal and social behavior that respects themselves and others within physical education settings. And then it comes full circle, as we've talked about before. Ultimately, we're trying to create opportunities for health, enjoyment, challenge, self-expression, and social interaction through physical activity, and in this case, basketball. How are we going to provide these learning experiences? Well, peer teaching provides a unique perspective for all involved. It gives us a different perspective as teachers. It gives the students that are receiving the differentiated instruction a perspective on what it's like to be the one delivering the content. And then it gives the students that are receiving the general instruction from the peer teachers a different voice to hear information from, which is also valuable. This creates academic achievement through challenge. So now students will be assuming the role of teacher and take control of the content delivered to their peers. This helps create ownership for those students delivering the content, which will lead to increased motivation for those students through challenge. The challenge is now they are no longer the learner, but they are the teacher. We've had good positive experiences with doing this in the past, because essentially what you're doing is you're taking a student that has a topic that they love and have invested a lot of time into, and then are able to turn around and help bring others closer to where they are. This also creates personal growth opportunities. This provides the peer teachers the ability to invest in the content area that they enjoy so much and share that enjoyment with their classmates. What we found through doing this is it actually brings students closer together, whereas when we've run these units and we haven't had peer teachers, you just have students that are really good at a skill or a concept or a sport, and then students that maybe are not so good and they don't interact as much. When we bring those peer teachers into the fold, it kind of brings the gap and brings the class much closer together. Lastly, let's look at how we assess and evaluate our compacted differentiated instruction unit within basketball. So some of the post-assessment procedures include personal student surveys, peer feedback, and instructor observation. These things are very valuable not only for us but our students as we're looking to continue to learn, grow, and develop within the unit. And then follow-up lesson and activities would be another challenge for the students that delivered the peer teaching would be to referee the game and also compete in the basketball round-robin tournament at the end. And the catch being that each peer instructor will lead their own team. So now not only did they coach the students up throughout the unit, but now they have to coach those students as player coach in game. The beauty of physical education is we have so many students in the class with so many different backgrounds and strengths and weaknesses. So while somebody's strength might be basketball, and that affords them the opportunity to peer teach, the next unit may be soccer, and we're going to have a completely different group of students that excel at that. And then we'll move into a weight room unit where we have a completely different unit, completely different group of students that excel at that. So utilizing this style of compacted differentiated instruction provides multiple avenues for student success, challenge, and enjoyment. When we look at it from a 3,000-foot view, building out curriculum is shown as a unique way for us to provide challenge for students in physical education, and something that I look forward to utilize moving forward, not only this school year, but throughout my career. Thank you, everyone, for checking out my video on compacted differentiated instruction. Hopefully, I shed some light into a daily look of what our physical education looks like and how we create challenge through differentiated instruction for those students that we've determined through assessments are high flyers. Thank you. Look forward to checking out everybody's project.